Hello. Two tigers take turns tasting tapioca. Two tigers take turns tasting tapioca. That's me testing the sound because I've just recorded this entire podcast and the sound didn't work. How I laughed. How are we? This is volume 3, or episode 3 actually, of something about meanderings and musings and Moomaloom. I can't remember what I called it. There were a lot of M's in there. I have switched from audio to visual at the request of a few of you, because I mean it makes sense. If I'm talking about things I'm working on, you might want to see them. However, we have got an HD camera and that is unforgiving, so bear with on that. So before we start, and bearing in mind the visual nature of this lecture, I need you to brace yourself. I'm going to sit back. There is quite the horror show going on my neck, so I wanted to warn you about it and address it, and then we can move on to knitting. So on 3, 1, 2 and 3. Ta-da. Now, that looks horrendous, doesn't it? It looks like some sort of pox or a dot to dot. I don't know what a dot to dot of, but it looks like some sort of hideous plague. It isn't a hideous plague. It is a cosmetic procedure. I've had a cosmetic procedure. Thank you. What I've done is I've had these skin tags attacked with, I don't know what it is. I kept saying nitroglycerin. It's not that, is it at all? That's dynamite or some such. Some sort of explosive anyway. It's something. And again, I also said nitrous oxide, that, and Buzz was like, that is laughing gas. It's not that either, but it's something like that. Dry ice. Basically, minus 47 degrees on the skin. Really, really hurts. Like repeated bee stings. Even, there we go, even gone up there. I'm a lumpy old soul. I've got lumps in my head. I'm just lumpy, like a really disappointing mashed potato. So I thought at the great age of 50 I might like to be lump free. They didn't all look dark like this. They've gone dark because of the hideous abuse with the cryo pen. Anyway, so that's what's happened. I had that done on Monday, drove home in complete shock and agony like this. And I realised I was going 23 miles an hour. It took ages to get home. They're only around the corner. So hopefully, you never know. Might work, might not. Might look even worse. So yes, she was a lovely girl. But by the time she got sort of here, I just never wanted to see her again. Never. But being British, it was like, yes, that's lovely. Thank you very much. Hey ho. So that's that. Please try and look beyond it, okay? My hideous disfigurement. It might work, it might go, it might not. So I'm going to do a bit of repeatiness because my last 2 wafflings were about a sock that I was working on. This, isn't it beautiful? This is Larkspur by This Handmade Life. And I'm going to do a bit of repeating because it does work to actually be able to see it. It's really gorgeous. Let me put it on my hand so you can see the pattern. Look at that. Gorgeous. Loved knitting it. Love, love, love. So on the last one, or possibly the one before, I was talking about this incredible cast on, which is called the Turkish cast on. More about that in a minute. So since then, I have actually obviously completed the sock. Just one. Yes, just one. A lot to go with all my other just ones. Look. More just ones, just ones, just ones. I'm really bad at doing pairs. You never know. However, I have a plan, and that is this. That is 2 at a time, toe up socks. Magic loop is what that is. And I thought if I do them 2 at a time, at least I'll have no socks rather than just one sock. But I do hope to finish those. I have finished some socks as a pair in the past. For example, these socks, which is what I hope those other ones will end up like, because I wear these all the time. They are so lovely. This is from a pattern called How I Roll, and it is by Orange Knits Designs. And actually, there's 50% off this at the moment on Ravelry. It's a really good pattern because it's got all the options you can do. Toe up, cuff down, lots of different heel, actually different toe shapes as well, if I remember correctly. So really good sort of pattern to have in your library so you can kind of refer back to them, because I have converted sock patterns from cuff down to toe up before, thanks to this. So how I roll socks, also love it because there's no cuff. There's that lovely little roll edge and they're very comfy to wear. So recommend that. So, and look, a pair. I have other pairs, honestly. I might put some photos on if I can be bothered. But, so toe up, really loved that cast on. Again, more on that later. And because of the toe upness, and that is a terminology, you have a different way of creating the heel. Now, this particular toe up sock has gusset increases, and I'm sorry for the G word again, I should have warned you. Gusset increases, and I think they are, personally, I like the fit of them better than just putting a heel on a sock with no increases at all. It's a really good fit, and it is such a neat heel. It's created with short rows, dead easy, literally no holes at all. I found with my cuff down socks, I tend to get a little, there we go, a little hole here, and I have tried every method to avoid that hole. The only way I can avoid it is to actually put some stitches in afterwards, which is okay, but I do feel like that is cheating. So, you know, if you've got any tips, do let me know on that, because I'm always willing to learn. In fact, I realise that's one of the things I truly love about knitting. Now, I've been knitting for years and years and years. I'm not an expert by any means. I'm not even particularly good at it. But I have been doing it for a long time. What I really love is every day there's something new to learn, and there's some marvellous new technique that I didn't know about. It's been there probably, it's been there forever, but I didn't know about it. There's a lot to discover, and that is the continuing joy of it for me. And this particular pattern I loved. I loved the cast on. I loved the way that she did the increases. Again, Larkspur, this Handmade Live. Love the way she did the increases. Everything about this pattern I really loved, so I really recommend it. The cast on I learned was called a Turkish cast on, and I loved it so much I've made you a little video to show you how to do it. Let's have a look at that magical Turkish cast on. Now, I've used this in my toe up socks that I'm working. It creates the seam at the very end, so you can see there's, well, it's not a seam at all, it's the cast on. It is completely seamless, so you sort of look like you've just got a continuous sort of row of knit stitches here, and this is how you do it. Right, so I've got circular needles. They're really short, but I wouldn't normally use short ones like this to knit socks, but just for the video. You don't need to leave a long tail. That's a bit too short actually, for this. So I've just made a little slip knot, and I'm going to put the slip knot on the needle at the bottom here. Now, if you need, let's say, 6 stitches on each needle, you will just simply wrap the yarn 6 times around both needles. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And I'll just lock that off by putting, hang on, 1, 2, 3, 4, no. I will lock that off by putting that through there. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wraps, and I've got the little locked off bit there and the slip knot at the beginning, so you can ignore those 2. 6 wraps going around both needles. Now, just as you would in any kind of magic loop knitting, I'm going to pull out the bottom needle or the front needle, and I'm going to knit into that first wrap to make a stitch. So that's 1, and then the next one, and what's happening is the other side of the wrap, or the extra part of the loop if you like, is just sitting on that cable underneath, and we're going to come back and knit those in a minute as well. So 4, 5 and 6. Okay, and then I'm going to turn the work, pull these loops back up onto the needle, and I'm ready now to knit across the bottom here. Okay, so I can now lose that slip knot that we started with. So I'm just going to take that right off the end. where is it? Take it right off the end and let go of it. 2, 4 and 6, and I'm going to bring my top needle out. Oh, it's actually the bottom if I turn it that way, however you prefer. And knit the loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So what I've done is, if you can see, I have created a stitch going that way and a stitch coming the other way out of those two, just out of that wrapped yarn. And what that's going to do, it's going to give me the very point, imagine a pointy ballet shoe, the very point of the toe is created there. It's easier to see once you've got a few rows on, but if you can see, there is no gap, there's no seam, there's nothing. So now I can just carry on knitting and increasing for the toe of my sock. Very brilliant and elegant way to cast on. How clever! How clever is that? I love that. So that's been my sock odyssey. So I have many projects on the go, and I'm going to show you a big chunk of them momentarily. But I don't count socks. That's just as a by the by. That's you know, just have that on the go, doesn't really count. So I've been dipping in with the socks. The other thing that I've made recently is this lovely what is called the Goat Cowl by Laura Dobratz. And I don't know if I've said her name right either. I'm terrible. Or it might be Dobratz, don't know. But beautiful cowl. Made again with Emma's yarn. I do a lot of stuff with Emma's yarn because Yarnworks, my local yarn shop, stock it. In fact, the neons there are Emma's yarn minis. The orange, the greeny yellow is no flash photography. The pink is shut the front door. The grey here is really beautiful, isn't it? It's Adventures in Yarncraft. I think that looks like a camo. Adventures in Yarncraft. April Skies, but again all from Yarnworks, because they're my local yarn shop and I need to support them. We all need to support our local yarn shops, but if you don't have one, they do brilliant online stuff as well. So yes, so Laura Dobratz made the Goat Cowl, and again I made that in minis, so it's a brilliant one for leftover yarns, leftover sock yarns and things like that. Got small to model it. Still haven't blocked it actually, but you know, it was a joy to make. Again, what was a lovely discovery for me is I thought I hated the marl effect, but I saw so many people coming into the shop who'd made that cowl, and it's gorgeous. It's so pretty, and it was an absolute joy to knit because it was a simple pattern, relaxing pattern, and the colour changes just kept my interest. I've got a very short attention span, but the colour changes really kept my interest. So then I became completely hooked on marl, which I thought I hated. It turns out I absolutely love it. And I've made a little bag. I made a bag, look. Oh, I've got some stitch markers attached to it. Made a bag. And I'm currently writing up the pattern. My sister's pattern testing it as we speak. So I'm hoping to have a pattern for you if you'd like it. You know, I've got to fund my yarn habit somehow, haven't I? So what I chose to do with this is start at the base and work up. Again, really good for leftover sock yarns and things like that. Holding two together and you create all these lovely colours with this marled effect. Little drawstring. There we go, little drawstring. So you could line it if you wanted, or pop just one of those sort of drawstring canvas bags in there. There's a bit of cardboard in the bottom to sort of stop it stretching down too much when there's stuff in it. But the point of it is really just enjoying a knit, quite honestly, in the round. Mostly knit stitches, just TV knitting at its best, really. So another new cast on that I've learned. I've called this bag the boob bottom bag, because I showed you this on Instagram and a lot of people thought that was a boob. Honestly, you lot, a boob. But in the same vein as the toe up sock, I wanted to go bottom up on the bag, because if you are using leftovers, you could make that bag as tall or as wide or whatever as you can to fit the amount of yarn you've got. So rather than if you start at the top and you run out here, that's a bit of a problem. But if you start at the bottom and it comes up a bit short, it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter. So I've started at the bottom. And if you've knit hats or anything before, you'll know that that's a fairly, you know, that's not a unusual looking crown of a hat really. You might have a few more decreases in there, but you start at the widest point and you decrease down to the crown is the point. But because I'm starting at the bottom, I need to start with a small amount of stitches and work out from it. And I had no idea about a cast on for this, so I did a little bit of research and I found the pinhole cast on. And the pinhole cast on, how do I get that close to there? There we go. The pinhole cast on is that sort of flower type look right at the centre, which you all thought was a nipple, honestly. You start with a really small amount of stitches, you increase out, creates that lovely square. I mean, again, would work really well for squares of blankets, wouldn't it, that? That's the pinhole cast on, and I love that so much. I've done you a video for that as well. Do you want to see? Let's have a look at that pinhole cast on now. And the pinhole cast on is the one that I've used in my little bag here. It's a nice sort of closed up cast on, which works well at the centre of a project. Where you want it, but you don't want any kind of gaps or holes or anything. So works well to start off with, and you can work outwards as you work a piece of knitting. I'm just going to use some DPNs for this one, but obviously it works very well on circular needles as well. So you don't need to leave any tail or anything for this. I've got the end or the tail of the yarn just draped over the palm of my hand here, and I'm going to wrap it once around my forefinger. So I've created the cross there. I'll take my needle, put it under the cross, just pop my thumb there to hold the yarn in place, wrap the yarn as if to knit, and bring the needle back through the loop. Okay, so I've basically pulled up a loop of yarn there. It's not quite secure, and I'm going to secure that stitch with this second step. I'll take the yarn and I'll do a yarn over from the back to the front, so over the top of the needle. It's kind of the wrong way round normally, or backwards yarn over there. And this first loop we've made is going to pass over the top of this second loop we've made. Okay, so I'm pulling my needle back and pulling that loop through. And that is one stitch cast on. And if I just sort of arrange this loop neatly, you will see that it is nice and secure. It's not going anywhere. One stitch cast on. So let's do it again. So the needle tip goes through the loop. I'm going to wrap the yarn just like I was knitting normally and bring that loop through, and that's pulling up a loop is what's happening there. I'm now going to secure that loop by doing the backwards yarn over, so coming from the back of the needle over the top, and I'm going to pass that loop that wasn't there before over the one I've just made. Okay, now if that gets tricky, you can use another DPN. I'll show you how to do that, or the tip of your circular needle. I'll show you how to do that now. So 2 stitches cast on. Let's do another one. So through the loop, wrap and pull through, backward yarn over, so from the back of the needle over the top, and this time I'll hold that all in place. This time I'll take another DPN and I'll pick up that loop and just pull it over the top like so. Okay, so that's 3 stitches cast on. So I'm going to do a few more. I'm going to make it up to 8, which is what I've done in the bag, just so that you can see sort of how it all works when it's ready to be knit. So that's 3. I'll do another few. 7. Last one for now, 8. So just secure that last stitch with that backwards yarn over, and the loop goes over the top. Okay, so I've now got 8 stitches cast on, and if I pull this, you can see what's going to happen, but I'm not going to tighten that up completely just yet. I'm going to put half of those stitches, so 4, I'm going to put on another needle. 1, 2, 3 and 4. And if I bend that round like so and give that end a pull, you can see what's happened. It's closed up to create that really neat centre. Now if I was working in the round with DPNs, I could arrange that onto 4 DPNs, or if I was doing a magic loop, I'd be ready to knit. So let's come down this end actually. So I'll just show you what I mean about being ready to knit. Get the end out of the way. My working yarn is coming from the back, so I'm ready to knit into that front stitch, and off I go. So that is brilliant. That is the brilliant Pinhole cast on. I mean, people are genius, aren't they? How'd they think that up? How'd they think it up? So that's going to form the basis of this lovely little bag. And I'm probably going to do another video to support it, just to show you the magic knot thing, which I used all the way through this. But that's not for today, viewer. That's another time. So pattern testing that at the moment, and hopefully we'll have a pattern for you soon. So I've dipped into socks, I've dipped into marl, and the other thing that I've got quite a lot of on the go is zigzags. I seem to really like zigzags. Do you want to see some? So I'll start here with this. It's a cowl again. Someone said to me, "Oh, the queen of cowls," which I took as, "Oh, you don't do anything but cowls, do you?" So this is called, what is this called? I wrote it down because I can never remember anything. This is called Recollect Cowl, and it goes that way up. So it's got a provisional cast on. You'll knit all the way, and I thought I'd put I don't know if she puts a twist in it. She probably does. You put a twist in it and then graft the two ends together with Kitchener stitch, which also genius. Perhaps we'll do that one day. But look at the zigzags. These yarns are from my Biff Sugar Yarns Advent. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So I really enjoyed that because, again, lots of colour change, lots of interest for me. But, you know, stop there, ovs. That's one that's on the go. Another one that I really love this is Casey Knits. Now, Casey does beautiful cowls. So this is called Scrap Town. You'll have seen, I suspect if you have a look at her things, you'll have seen a couple of her cowls. Just beautiful and lovely introduction to colour work. In fact, she's really kindly said that we can use her patterns in the colour work classes that I'm going to do, or Fair Isle if you prefer. So you can sort of see, if we turn it inside out, you can see the sort of floats happening there. I always love the inside of Fair Isle as well, I really do. This is a double knit one. Adore this, adore it. Again, knit in the round, all knit, lots of colour changes. What is not to love? Why haven't I finished it? I need to really finish it. Next up, Amber O'Brien, also with Amber O'Brien. Look! No! This is not OnlyFans, it's an extra £5 if you want that. This is Amber's Knitterati new t-shirt. I've got a mint colour one as well. I love a knitting t-shirt. Really lovely fabric, generously proportioned for the more robustly built of us. Love this. This is raspberry. But this is also one of Amber's patterns. This is called Zippity. And I've just put in the colour pop there, as you can see, that lovely coral. And I love Amber's patterns. In fact, I'm getting my yarns stash diving, that's the word, for her upcoming mystery knit along, which is called Ocean Moon. Doesn't that sound beautiful? How can you not do that? So I haven't got great form with mystery knit alongs, but I love Amber's patterns, so I'm really going to go for it. And I've got such a lot of, listen to me, I've got such a lot of yarn. What I mean is I have got enough yarn, the colours that spring to mind for me with there are sort of silvers and blues, pale blues and things, and that's my colour palette. So I've got loads of stuff that I can use there, so I'm going to do that. Maybe you want to do that too, I don't know, but if you do, we can have a chat about it, can't we? So that's Zippity. Now the next three pieces. They're not pieces, are they? The next three things I'm going to show you all by one designer, and I love her and I love her designs, and I urge you to go and look. It's by Amy from AOP Design, so A.OPIE. Just all the colour, just beautiful. Everything is beautiful, and so I like a kid in a sweet shop. I couldn't start them all quick enough, so let me show you some of them. Another cowl, again this way up. Big thick cowl, beautiful, look at it. And someone said to me, oh, that's really, you won't wear that, it's too thick. I don't care if I wear it or not, I don't care. The joy of knitting it, look at it, how could you not be happy to knit that? There's a lot of stuff I knit that I won't wear because it's just too, I never get cold. I'm a woman of a certain age, I never get cold, but one day I might. And until then, I will just enjoy the colour, the texture, the pattern, everything about it. Another provisional cast on, so that will be grafted at the end. Beautiful, beautiful. Next up, and I've got loads of compliments on this, and I cannot take any credit for the colour scheme. This is all Amy. I'd like to say I was inspired by her colours. I wasn't. I just completely copied them. That's not being inspired by. That is copying, and I've told her as much. Oh, look, some ends down here to sew in. Let's go this way. So, look at this. This is called Luverne. Don't know how you say it, but Luverne, you'll see. And it is zigzags, chevrons, if you will. And it's sort of do what you like chevrons. There's no prescription to it at all. Again, just fully lifted all of this from her Instagram. Again, I think the pattern has got lots and lots and lots of different colours, so amazingly good for leftovers or minis, because this is 4-ply again. We've all got minis, haven't we, that we just could not live without, and then went, what am I going to do with them? Maybe that's just me, I don't know. But another brilliant pattern for those. In fact, I think all of these chevron-y ones are really good for those. And finally, not quite chevron-y or not quite zigzaggy, but certainly chevron-y actually, is this. And this is, if I show you what I mean, it's Rainbow Town. It's called Rainbow Town, and this is a scarf, and I hadn't knit a scarf for a while. I knit one for our Learn to Knit class. This is a bit different. Again, provisional cast on, that'll be grafted at the end. And what you do with this one is beautiful. You knit, and you knit a big eyelet, and the other end of the scarf passes through the eyelet, so you get that lovely sort of wrapped look around your neck. I could have worn a scarf actually, couldn't I? You get a wrapped look around your neck without all the bulk and without having to make a scarf that's 400 miles long. So really love this. And another one that you could, it's all knit, look, all knit because it's knit in the round. I love that idea. And again, why haven't I finished it? So I've got lots of beautiful, beautiful zigzaggy bits on the go. So if you want a bit of zigzag, a bit of interest, there's a few suggestions for you. So it seems I'm going through a zigzag phase, always going through a sock phase, and I've just discovered my love for marl. So that's it really. That's all I've got to tell you at present. I'm going to have to go now because I've got to go to school. I don't know if that carried on and if you saw me there, because what happened was the screen died and it just shut me down and I had to log back in again. No idea what's happened. When I edit it, I'll see if I have to do another end. If I don't have to do another end, thank you so much for watching. I'll probably put some links to the patterns I've talked about in the bottom of the thing. And thanks for coming along with me. It's very lovely for you to give me your time. Have a great week, fortnight, month, however long it is before I talk to you again. And keep knitting or crocheting and have a lovely time.